Hello and welcome back to some Banished. Um, I stayed up really late last night and was working on the noble village. I got a little carried away and got a lot further than I thought I was going to. But I wanted to just show you guys around a little bit. We'll start with the houses. Now you guys remember this house. I did eventually get cherry trees and put them on either side of this walkway. This house has like a really country kind of feel to me with the wooden fence and the trees on either side of it. So I'm thinking the person that lives here might like horses. So I've been keeping my eyes out for some horses, and I'm going to give them a stable right in this open spot when I finally get some. And their backdoor neighbor here. This house I did a little more formal. I put the tall trees in. It gave it a much more formal look. As well as I used the gray brick for their walkway and enclosed their whole house in a fence to give it a more estate feel. And they have a little red brick patio back here to, sit and talk. I gave them a floral hedge as something to look at. And in the back here, they have their own little private orchard. The only orchard in our town to make apples. And he makes about 200 of them. And I'm sure he shares them. He's not too greedy. This house I designed with kind of the idea of this is where I would want to live. If I had to live in this town, this would be the house I would pick. I like the orchard and, the walled-in look to the house, to the whole yard. Now his neighbor is the mayor of the town. So I kind of built this house with the idea of the mayor of our town would live here. I gave him his nice regal statue right outside his front door next to this decorative tree. Now I put in 2 archways here because I could never get it to line up with the front doors, so I just put 2 in to see what it looked like. And I actually really like the way it looks. And then I gave him a little brick courtyard. We put a water feature in his house because he is the mayor, he's got to have some status symbols going on in his yard. I gave him a little private area, when he's talking politics to the other nobles, they have somewhere private to go sit and talk. Now, his backyard is all about status. He's got the 3 marble statues and the 2 pretty big flower beds. And, his own personal statue of him riding a llama. I'm thinking that's what that is, a llama. Which I thought was kind of funny. So I slipped it into the back of his yard. I planted trees along the back of his house because I figured he probably wanted some privacy. So I planted the trees to cover the windows, so when you're in the marketplace here, you can't be watching what the mayor's doing in his house. Gave him a little stack of firewood. And, the trader, he's always coming down this river, and I'm sure the mayor puts in his own personal request for certain items. So, the trader just drops them off in his yard. So that's why I have some boxes laying there. Now, the mayor's neighbor, let's see who our mayor is. Prince Ninzo. See, he's got Prince right in his name, so he's a natural-born leader. Now, outside the mayor's house, we have this little public sitting area. You can sit out here and watch the boats go by. And then the corner lot over here is owned by what I thought of as, an old man who lives in the middle of the swamp. He doesn't live in the town for the people or the food. He lives here because he likes living in the swamp, and he has a lot of money. So he just planted himself a whole bunch of willows for some privacy. He doesn't trim the reeds around on his property. He just lets them grow up. Now, no old swamp man is complete without his own back shed to kind of tinker around in. So I put him a little backyard shed in. It is secretly a meat locker, so we can store meat and tallow in here. And I believe, yeah. See, so he's 88, our old swamp man limit. He owns the tavern next door, the inn and garden. Now, this tavern has a much more kind of formal feel to it, so I thought it fit the atmosphere of this neighborhood pretty well. Um, we have the tables so people can sit and eat. Here she is carrying in a cask of wine now. I decorated with the color purple. The purple trees and the purple flower boxes kind of fit the building's color scheme. And over here, we just have a nice little place to sit back here. And I put in a bridge. I am going to start expanding over this way. It's probably going to be more big, fancy houses, but it's going to be more compact. The people over here aren't going to be so lucky to get the huge yards and estates that these people on the island get, but they'll still have some nice big houses. Now, this last house over here obviously isn't done, but I wanted to put up a house with a hedge fence, and I actually like the way it looks. I figure the person who lives here is really going to have to like gardening, because they're going to have to do a lot of watering with this hedge fence, so they better like gardening. So I put them in a little garden back here. I think she's growing carrots. And I'm going to put in a couple fruit trees and probably a couple flower beds, so she can have plenty to do outside. My favorite part of the village is the little park/marketplace in the middle here. We have a place you can sit out under the shade of the tree. You can sit on any side of it, full of benches, so the nannies can sit here while the kids play in the park. Down here I put in some community grapevines, so while you're walking in the park you can get some grapes to eat. We got the pond and a place to sit. Now, I decided to put in the stalls, again, just because the stall vendors kind of fit the atmosphere a little better than just the marketplace building. We have our fruit and veggie stalls right over here. And we have our meat stall and our bread stall. And in between them, we have a well, because, all the big fancy houses, they need fresh water, they need it close. So I put it right next to the park. We have our clothing and tool stall over here, and they also own the log wagon. And we have our materials stall. So you get your candles and your firewood here, everything to keep your house running correctly. And we have our stone and iron carts right next to that. And so that's kind of where I am on the Noble neighborhood. I stayed up way too late playing around with it last night. I did figure out how to get joists as well. In the cheat sheet, it says that you get it in the large smithy, but you actually get it in the foundry. So I made a couple of them and was able to build a building supplier. So hopefully once I get some furniture, rugs, glassware, and pottery in the works, we can get some furnishing blocks and build the townhomes. So we're a little farther away from the townhouses than I thought we were, but I'm getting there. As you can see, our population has grown quite a bit. Our food is actually starting to dip, but I'm trying to nip that in the butt. I have 2 new fields growing up here. I'm thinking this field is going to be barley just all the time, which is why I put it a grain silo right next door. Thought that was a nice touch. And then this is currently growing eggplants. So trying to get some more fields up. We have quite a few more houses in the little rural area. It's starting to become a little more urban with all these houses, but I'm going to spread them out along the lake here as we get more and more farms. And over in the Noble neighborhood, I have left this spot blank, as you can see. So this is where we're going to be putting in some of those townhomes when we are finally able to build them, and they're coming. Just have to get the build or the right resources going. So I'm really liking it so far, and if you are too, please leave me a like, subscribe if you'd like to see some more content, and I will see you next time in Banished.